Hello, everybody. Hey, it's Robin Da Vinci. How are you today? Or whatever day you're viewing this, I hope you're doing well. Um, like I've said before, I'm a boomer and pretty proud of it. But I think there's a few things we need to apologize for and few things for which we need to take credit. And the thing I want to apologize for to all of you is that while being one of the richest generations ever, there were things that we did not pass on to future generations in order to have them not have the problems we have had now that we're in our 70s. So one of the issues for me is that I had a really traumatic childhood, and I have the people who know me best know how bad it was. And one of the most traumatic things around my childhood was the issue of money. Money controls people's happiness. Now, we always say it shouldn't. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Of course, it controls our happiness. We have determined that you cannot have an exceptional life or a satisfying life unless you have money. And the truth is, for the most part, most of us don't have a lot of money. All right. And while the baby boomers spoiled their children and are spoiling their grandchildren, a lot of things that we should have put into schools, insisted when we were the teachers and professors, were ways for you to combat what happened to you as a child. Now, we're responsible for that. We made childhood tougher, and I apologize. Boomer apology, really apologize. We made life tougher because we made or allowed our children to believe that there was absolutely an endless stream of money. And because we got successful quickly, now that's not all of us, but bunches of us, millions and millions of us, got successful so quickly or found money in our lives by working hard, but also because it was easier back then to get a career, stay at a company 35 years. I can hear you all yelling, of course that is. It doesn't happen that way anymore. There are no golden parachutes and stock options given to you when you retire. It's kind of really tough out there. It's dog eat dog. So my childhood was silence or violence. And that was really difficult. So in our household, there was no money. My mother was embarrassed. My father left, and we lived quite on the edge. And I'm going to give kudos to my mother because she learned how to make $300 a month go further than anybody I've ever met. So picture yourself now. You are saying you're living on the edge and paycheck to paycheck, but you don't have anything in place to stop the madness. It is stop the madness. You need to stop. You need to stop right now as you're watching this video and say, okay, I'm going to change things. I'm going to give you 5 ways you can change things right away. And of course, we could go on and on because there's probably 105 things or maybe 1,005 things. But I'm going to give you the 5 things that I learned from my childhood that caused me grief as an adult. Now, remember, in my house, and it could be true in your house, maybe not. Maybe you grew up in an idyllic situation. Most of us do not. There's some strife. My parents fought about money. When my dad left, they continued to fight about money long distance. There was never enough money for us to do things. We were the poorest kids on the block. My mother made the best of it. She did a brilliant job, don't get me wrong, with the money management part of it. And I actually wrote that to her when I was trying to find ways to congratulate her for the life she led. I wrote her a letter and said, you know what, Mom? You did some of this stuff in an amazing manner. And as an adult, I want you to know I appreciate it. So here we go. I'm going to give you the top 5 things. I suggest you record this, write it down, save it somewhere, because these first 5 things are going to make a difference. All right. Number 1, communication over embarrassment. This one's a little bit more emotional. It's not like a real, I can, write down how you do it. But one of the most important things about lack of money is total embarrassment. People who don't have money feel embarrassed and feel like they're less because they don't have the money to participate in a world that has, it looks like everybody has lots of money, right? So you stay embarrassed and you spend incorrectly based on your embarrassment. You do not communicate to your friends. You do not communicate to your family. You do not communicate to your kids that we are tight on money and this is what we have to do. It is urgent that right now you commit to telling the truth. Honesty, transparency, integrity in telling the truth about your financial condition. That doesn't mean you go in and tell them all your bills and all that. But what you say honestly is, I can't afford that. Kids, we can't do that. And here's why. And tell them why. Don't scare them. Just tell them. Children think that that credit card that you put out all the time for all their stuff is actual money. They don't realize because they're young that once you spend that on a credit card or a debit card, it's coming out of your checking account or you're owing it to someone. They don't understand. So what we want to do, and I will do a video for children where you can put your children in front of the television and I will explain it to them. But right now, what you need to do is tell the people in your life that you're competing with, and this is one of the big things from when you're little, you start competing with people for stuff and you try and get stuff that you don't need, you don't want, but you think it's what you should be doing. That's not true. It's just not true. So stop being embarrassed. I grew up with a mom that was totally embarrassed by our situation, that my dad left and lived in Japan, that the neighborhood was full of married people with children. Mom stayed home, dad worked, or both parents worked and they owned their home while we rented. My mom was embarrassed, and the only way we knew what was really going on is if there was screaming in the house, people were tortured by the fact that there was no money, and people in our family started acting out. But everybody else, it was supposed to be a secret. Now they had to have known, right? They probably talked behind our backs. Stop doing any of that. If you're a person who's in great financial shape and you're looking down on people who aren't, please stop doing that, because that's the number one reason our country's in debt. Embarrassment, competition, and lack of communication. So I think I've communicated this clearly. Starting right now, stop pretending you have stuff, you have money to get stuff you don't need or want or can't afford. And you have to communicate quietly. You can say to your family, you know what, we really can't do Christmas this year. We have a really small budget. So is there any way we can work this out so that everybody's comfortable, but our family is really struggling? You say to your kids, look, this is mom and dad make around this kind of money, and these are the things we have to pay out before you. So when you ask for something that we can't afford and we buy it on a credit card, we have to pay that later and we still can't afford it. So there's a way, without losing your temper and without getting embarrassed or forceful in a way that's scary, to explain to people, my financial condition isn't great. And stop pretending. Stop pretending. Take off the I'm okay mask and put on the this is reality mask. That's what I'm asking you to do. So that's number one. Number two is, and raise your hand if you do this, you live paycheck to paycheck. What happens when you live paycheck to paycheck is you ignore all the days in between. Now, you know you do this. You get paid on a Friday. You have a stack of bills you want to pay. You need cash, for your son. He's a teenager. He needs cash, or your daughter. You want to go to a party. Your friends are going out somewhere, maybe not in these particular times, and so you get your paycheck. You have this list of bills, and you do. And you make all these maneuvers, and then it's a half a month or 2 more weeks till you get paid again. And oh my God, I just got paid and I have nothing. Okay. Change that you pay your bills when you get your paycheck. Of course, that's what everybody does. You get money in, the money goes out. There is no problem with that. But what there is a problem with is that you're not connecting to the fact that you need money every day to live. So what I'm suggesting after item 1, which was communication without embarrassment. Number 2, sit down with your major bills. That's rent or mortgage, car payments, auto and all your insurances, groceries, tuition, whatever's on your list. List it all for the month. Divide it by 30. There you've got it. That's how much it takes when you wake up to cover your day. And if you're not doing that, then you're disconnected from your cash completely. You need to know what it takes to live every day. And I'm telling you, it will change your spending and your spouse or your partner or your children or your family. It will change how you look at money and how you spend it if you know that every day when you wake up, it costs X amount to live that day. Stop doing this every 2 weeks, twice a month, weekly thing, and start doing it daily. So I'm suggesting you take your rent or mortgage, your utilities, anything related to auto, including gas, insurance, tuition, groceries, dues and fees, anything that you have. Add it all up for the month, and I can suggest you go back to your last bank statement and take those, go back 3 months, average it. And I'll tell you, you might divide it by 30 and find that every morning when your family wakes up, you need $617 or you need $432. Are you doing that? Are you going to the ATM and taking money out that you can't afford to take out because you don't think of cash as part of your budget? And that's another thing that you put into that 30 days. Do you require cash? Most people don't, but some people do. So you also put in your cash needs. And then you see, well, why am I randomly going and taking $200 out of the ATM when I actually need that to live every day? Why am I spending this? Why don't I know where my money goes? So that is a perfect segue into number 3. Number 3, use of ATMs. While I thought it was one of the most fabulous inventions of all time when I started using an ATM, and I actually taught my mother and one of my closest friends how to use the ATM when they first came out, and I thought it was a blast, and we created their passwords and I mean their code and everything, and it was just delightful that you could go either to your bank or any bank for a fee and actually get your money out. Wow, was that ever amazing, right? And everybody thinks ATMs are great, except when you go to the ATM and you take cash out, you probably say no receipt, saving a tree, BS. Not you're saving a tree or part of a tree maybe, but you're also sabotaging yourself. So knock it off. When you take cash, you make sure that you have budgeted that cash and that cash is accounted for. And the way I'm telling you to do it is simple. Take your ATM slip, always print it out. And when you spend, right on the back of that where your 200 went or where your 400 went or your $20 went. Believe it or not, you need to know. So you take it and you write down how you spent it, because we do not want you waking up like this is Friday night and Monday morning go, I had $200 on Friday night and I don't have any now. What did I do with it? You should know. And it should be on the back of your ATM receipt. And that's the easiest way. Now I can tell you far more complicated ways to keep track of this cash, but the use of the ATM and spending cash without a budget and without knowledge of where it's going is one of the biggest reasons that people don't have money. They pull cash out as if it doesn't count. Now I've told this story before, and I'm telling you again. Last summer of 19, I went to Disneyland for Girl Scout Day because my granddaughter is a Girl Scout. And we got to go to Disneyland early and had the park open for us. And it was Girl Scout Day. So that was fun. Now, I got in line for the Matterhorn. It's one of the rides I hadn't been on in a million years. And with my son-in-law, and we're standing in line, and there were four young ladies in front of us, and I'm going to say college age, in their late teens, early 20s. And we're standing in line behind them, and they've got Minnie Mouse ears and the socks on, and you know everything Disneyland, t-shirts, all matching t-shirts, and they're having a great time. And then all of a sudden, one of the young ladies screams. I mean, she screamed. She went, "Oh, oh my God, I took money out of my ATM to come to Disneyland, and my car payment's going to clear, and there's not enough money." So what I wanted to do was say, read my book, please. Just read my book. You've made such a mistake. But obviously, she wasn't trained to not take money out of her ATM when she has a car payment coming out, and she took cash that she couldn't afford, and she didn't budget it. She didn't think of it until it was too late. Is that you? Is that what you're doing? You go on a trip with your friends, you come back and you spend too much, and now you can't pay your rent. If you're doing that, and part of it's ATM money, we need to stop. You need to put ATMs in as part of your budget. You need to use it sparingly, and you need to figure out, what in the hell am I doing with my cash? You know what? The best place for your cash is in the bank, not in your pocket. And I'm not saying you shouldn't get emergency cash, or you should travel without cash, or you should have a 20 in your pocket or 40 in your pocket. But if you're taking excess money out of your ATM and passing it around like it's candy, and not keeping track of it either with your spouse, your partner, your children, your family, then that's part of the reason that you're living on the edge and broke. So number one, stop, communicate without embarrassment. Sit everybody down and say, this is our financial situation right now. Absolutely. That wasn't done for us. All we got was yelling and screaming, or silence. And we knew when we were eating pancakes for dinner that things were tight. It's a problem. It is really a problem. So communication, number one. Number two, what does it take you to live each day, rather paycheck to paycheck? Figure that out. You can go to my website and get some help with that, robindavinci.com. You can go and get some help with that, because we have some things on my website that help you with that. Number three, cash in your ATM. My son calls it, putting your hands in front of your eyes and just grabbing stuff out of the ATM, hoping that, the balance is there. I've been behind people at the ATM that put in their code, ask for amount of money, says no, and they keep trying until they can get the least amount, I guess, they can get, or that's there. That's a mistake. So that's number three. Number four, and as much as I understand convenience, stop eating out so much or getting takeout. It is much cheaper to feed your family, feed your roommates, all of you, if you buy food and make it yourself. Now, I'm talking basics. I'm not talking filet mignon. I'm talking roasted chicken, rice, salad. I'm talking a rump roast, or whatever they call them, or ribs or something, cooked in your own oven or on your own barbecue with baked beans and bread. I'm talking about pasta with vegetables in it and bread. I am saying to you, if you're really struggling, you can't eat out, or at least you can't eat out as often as you do. And I'm telling you, fast food and eating out packs on the pounds, which causes medical problems. So in this whole number four, stop eating out. In fact, one of the reviews of my book, which was really wonderful, was a guy who said, I am looking at my daily budget, and I'm going to stop eating out so much because it's eating up all my extra funds, and I don't have funds to do anything else. It was really, really nice to see someone took something that concrete out of the book. You cannot eat out as much as you do and survive. You can't. So number one, communicate, no embarrassment, let people know your situation. Number two, figure out what it takes to live on a daily basis and live accordingly and stop pulling money out or throwing your credit card down on everything and going places you can't afford. That's really damaging to your sleep and your health when you start to stress. Number three, quit that ATM use. It is cash is not expendable. People think, oh, I got cash, and that's not part of, because you don't pay it by a check or a debit or a credit card. Cash doesn't count. Cash counts. Please go back into the last couple of months and see how many times you've gone to the ATM. Cash counts. Number four, eat at home. Eat in your backyard. Have simple meals. And I mean, even if you're not struggling that much, simple meals that you cook, that you're in charge of the ingredients, are so much better and so much safer and so much healthier and less expensive than going out and buying takeout or going to a restaurant. Now, I'm not saying never. I'm just saying look at it and at least cut it in half. If you're a really big going out to dinner person or bringing food in, cut it in half. You will see such a difference. You will have money maybe to put in a savings account if you do 4 of the 5 things. And now I'm going to give you the 5th thing. You ready? Number 5. There is a real problem with people understanding your book balance versus your bank balance. Let me explain first. Banks don't have your money in the bank at the corner. Your money, any money you put into the bank, is invested, taken, and spread around. They keep cash in their bank, but it's certainly not yours. When you go to the ATM, that's not your money. It's just that they have a ledger for you. But trust me, banks invest your money to make money. That's why sometimes when banks have a bad time, like in 2008, your money's in jeopardy. I have an example of someone that I heard about that sold their house and put their money in a big bank and then wanted to go put the down payment on somewhere else they bought, right? And when they went to go ask the bank and get their money out, the bank was in such trouble they couldn't give this person money. And so she had to borrow her own money back and to put a down payment on something, because the banks were in trouble. So don't ever believe that the bank is just, oh my gosh, the bank is, on the up and up and won't crash, and be safe with your bank. But your book balance is different than the bank. So let's say you go online and you look up your bank balance. You go, wow, look at, I have so much money in the bank. Have all your bills cleared? Have all your checks cleared? Do you have 3 auto debits coming out next week that changes that bank balance? I cannot tell you how many people in all my years in business do not realize that the bank does not know all that you're spending. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have $4,000 in the bank and you got your paycheck and you have $4,000 in the bank right now, and you have your mortgage coming out on the 1st, and you have auto insurance coming out, and you've written 3 checks. And so that 4,000 is minus all those things, and you actually have $927 in your checking account. But you're looking at your bank. So you go to your bank, you take out ATM money, and you go, okay, but I still have 4,000 in there. That's only because the bank doesn't know all the stuff you just did. So you have to keep a ledger, even if it's a simple ledger like this, or an Excel spreadsheet, or you go onto my website and follow that format. You have to keep track of your money and where it's going. So because you know what? Someone else who uses your ATM card, let's say you have a joint card or something, they won't know that you wrote stuff out. They'll think, oh, look at all that money. No. You have to put in your paycheck and then list all the things you're paying against it and get your true book balance. It's your personal balance, not what the bank says. The bank only records what it learns every day as it goes through your account. You know in advance, and you're not doing that. I can guarantee you're not doing that. I know you're not. I have so many people that have never kept a check register. You go, oh, Robin, that's so old fashioned. That's so boomer of you. Yeah, it is. And you know what? It's one of the smartest things boomers did was they didn't have computers. They didn't have all this technology. We had to keep track of it by hand. Now, I'm a lifetime Weight Watchers person too. And I used to keep a running check register on these are my points into your check register. So I'm telling you, even if you just get out a plain sheet of paper and next time you get paid, you write that paycheck down and then you write out what you did against it, what else you might need, what you might be spending, what your kids need, what your friends need, whatever it is. I guarantee you, once you start doing that, you'll spend less. So, in conclusion, I'm going to give you the 5 steps. Number 1, communicate honestly. I know I've said this throughout. Communicate honestly. Stop being embarrassed. If you are waking up and challenging yourself and getting through the day, getting your family through the day, getting your kids through the day, your roommate and you are doing your best work and you and your spouse are doing your best work, whoever you are a success if you are getting through the day. But that's not enough to be happy or stop living on the edge. So number 2, what do you need to do? You need to, I just lost, I did lost it. You have to stop living paycheck to paycheck. I thought that was number 3, but it's number 2. And it's very important. Number 2, I probably should make it number 1. You have to stop living paycheck to paycheck and figure out what you need every day. Number 3, your use of the ATM has to either be curbed, stopped, or recorded. So at least you know what it is. 4, bring your food to you from a grocery store and cook it yourself. Almost everything is simple to do. You can bake chicken, barbecue chicken, bake ribs, bake vegetables, cut up fresh fruit and put that as your dessert. There's ways to do this. And I'm certain there are many, many people on the internet that have eat at home on a budget. You got to do that. And number 5 is stop relying on your bank to tell you what you have as far as money goes. Your bank is not your friend. You are in charge of your money. You own your money. You just place it in the bank for safekeeping. It's your money. You have to own that money. That is yours. And stop you have to look at your bank account all the time. Make sure they're not charging you things for that you didn't buy, that there's no fraud on the account. You need to assess the bank charges that you're being charged. Oh my goodness, we'll go into a whole nother thing if you have overdraft. Biggest mistake that ever happened to this world is banks offering overdraft or putting an overdraft on your account without your permission. No overdrafts. Anybody who's watching this, if you have an overdraft, that's a loan. Overdraft is a bad thing. So your bank, I don't want to say they're not altogether your friend because I love my bank, but they're not your friend as far as stopping you from spending money. You own that. So I can't be any more forceful than that. It is your account, your money. The bank is it's only there so that you can use it at your discretion, and you have to get better at it. So anyway, those are my 5 things. If you found this helpful, if you found value in it, please press like or subscribe. And I will be back again because as a boomer, this is what I want to do positively. I apologize on behalf of boomers everywhere for not getting you more prepared to handle your money. But as a boomer, and after that apology, I'm taking steps to go forward and help you combat this. I do not want any more generations moving forward without control of their money. Swear to me that you will at least try. So press like, subscribe. I will see you again. Signing off, I'm Robin Da Vinci. Thank you. Bye-bye.